Hello everybody, it's me here, Cameron Brown, and a warm welcome to a new series. We're doing breakup advice, guys. We're doing relationship advice. I feel like this is a good niche to get into making videos about, because these videos, they do so well on YouTube. And I feel like this is a topic, this is a type of content that I can, really do well with, because I have been in a circumstance where I've dealt with a breakup for the past couple of months. And obviously it's not been fun. It's been pretty terrible, if you want to know the truth. But I feel like I'm coming out the other end of it. I really do feel like I'm moving on. And I feel like the reason why I've moved on and done so well with it is because of videos like this and because of advice. I've done lots of research about breakups, and I find breakups actually very fascinating. The reason why I think they're so fascinating is because obviously it's something that's really sad and something that's really tough to deal with. But even though it's so, hard to deal with, it can be so beneficial for you in the long term. And, breakups are something that happen to most people. Most people go through breakups. And I feel like a lot of people, their way to, fix a breakup is to kind of try to ignore it. And that flat out doesn't work. It doesn't work. You have to confront your emotions. You have to think about things to move on. And I think these videos, people making relationship advice videos, breakup advice videos, I think these people really help a lot of people move on. And that's something that I want to do. I want to help people who are struggling, because I was once in that position big time. And if it wasn't for, online help and online advice, I don't think I'd be in a particularly good position today. Just to make clear, these videos aren't going to be me talking about the circumstance that I'm in. Yes, I might relate to some of these videos. Cough, cough, this one. But I'm still not going to really talk about my situation, because I don't think that's really that fair to do. I'm not going to be trying to expose my ex or anything like that. Obviously, these videos are relevant to me. Not all of them, but the idea of, breakup, that's all relevant to me. If you have found this video through my channel, most likely you probably aren't going through a breakup, and this video is completely irrelevant to you. But even if it's irrelevant to you, I still think it might be interesting to watch, even if you're not going through a breakup. So without further ado, let's get into this first video. If you guys have any suggestions for me to make videos on regarding breakup advice, relationship advice, leave me a comment. If no one leaves a comment, don't worry guys, I've got plenty of ideas. Don't worry about it. So firstly, we need to talk a little bit about what would a horrible or a toxic ex do to you after a breakup that's wrong. Just to make clear, if you have an ex that is ignoring you, if you're trying to reach out to them and they're ignoring you and they're not giving you replies, I wouldn't say that that's them being a horrible ex. I think, quite frankly, the most mature thing your ex may do is ignore you. That is quite a mature thing to do. However, if they're ignoring your direct contact, i.e. you reaching out to them, but then they're indirectly contacting you, i.e. they're on social media, they're posting things about you in the caption, they're making indirect references to you, they're clearly referencing you, I think that is immaturity. But generally speaking though, if you are directly messaging your ex and they're not replying to you, they're leaving you on red, I wouldn't say that that's being horrible to you. But I imagine that if you think your ex is being horrible to you, there's a lot more to it than that. So a horrible ex, I would say, is an ex that's trying to make the breakup much harder than it needs to be. So for example, they may be refusing to be on good terms. They may be refusing to treat you with decency, just general decency. They may be trying to indirectly reference you in Instagram posts, in tweets. They might be retweeting tweets that are meant to hurt you. And they are trying to vilify and demonize you. If someone broke up with you, and this video is obviously more relevant for people who've been broken up with, if you broke up with someone, yeah, they're probably going to be horrible to you, because you hurt them. And a lot of the time, the way that people react to being hurt is through anger. It's still quite an immature way to react, because the best way to react to hurt is through resolution and through moving on, not anger. Because if you're angry towards someone and you try to hurt someone that hurt you, you're not better than them. You should always want to be better than the person you gave up on. Like if you broke up with someone, right, because they hurt you, if you go on to then hurt them, are you any better than them? Realistically, like, was the breakup even really valid to do? Now, the thing that I think is important to mention though is, what was the reason for the breakup? If you cheated on them, if you abused them, yeah, they're going to be horrible to you after the breakup, and quite frankly, you deserve it. But if the breakup happened because you had an argument, maybe you had an argument about, it could be literally anything, but as long as it wasn't something that was unforgivable, as long as, you may have done something wrong, obviously, everyone does stuff wrong. It is funny because some exes will feel like they've done nothing wrong in the whole relationship when they have, and they have. So when they try and put themselves on this plane of, you hurt me, you did all these things to hurt me during the relationship, when they did similar things as well, it is kind of ironic to see. But generally speaking, if you didn't do something that was unforgivable, if you did something wrong, yes, but it wasn't terrible, they shouldn't really be trying to hurt you after the breakup, but they still might. That's fine. But what I think is more interesting to talk about is when you have an ex that originally wants to be on good terms with you. And this is something that a lot of people I've seen talk about. They have an ex that's broke up with them. They say to them, yeah, I still care about you. I still want the best for you. I don't want you to beat yourself up over this. They say all these things. And it puts you in this position of security. This is kind of relevant to me. Initially, after the breakup, I felt this sense of security. I felt like, yes, the relationship was over, but my ex, she didn't hate me. We weren't trying to hurt each other. And that's something I liked. It made the breakup for me a lot easier because I was able to, it's horrible having that feeling and that sense of someone wants you to fail. And if you have an ex that's being horrible to you, that may be how you perceive them, which is not true, by the way. Unless your ex is a terrible person, they do not want to see you fail. And just to mention this, if you killed yourself, they would be in absolute turmoil. They would be absolutely broken, and they would feel so responsible for it. Now, if you have obviously an ex that initially wanted to be on good terms with you, what's interesting to notice is sometimes these people, they will change over time. So something that, I went through initially, my ex, she was on great terms with me, kept me on social media, said she still cared about me, still wanted the best for me, and then after a while, the whole situation changed. What have you done in the time period between her or him or whatever, initially, wanting to be on good terms with you and wanting to move on, all the way until, them hurting you? What have you done in between that time scale? If you have done nothing, if you have left them alone, if you have created more distance between the two of you, if they're starting to get angry at you, if they're starting to, cause all this harm and they start being horrible to you, that is a sign that they're not over you at all. Especially if you are in a position where if you confront your ex, people, they talk about no contact. No contact is very beneficial. No contact is the best thing you can do. But if you're going through no contact with an ex and they aren't becoming any nicer to you, they're still being horrible to you, or they're being more and more horrible over time, that generally means that they hate no contact. They hate you being out of their life, which obviously shows that they're not really over the relationship at all. If they're constantly posting stuff to make you jealous, and you can tell, if they're constantly trying to take digs at you indirectly, they're not over you, because that's not what being over someone is about. You may wonder, why are they being horrible to me now? I've given them no contact, I've given them time, I've given them space. I've even offered to be on good terms with them. Maybe that's the situation you're in. It's because they think you're over the relationship. When you have someone who breaks up with you, the biggest thing they have is the sense of control. When you're broken up with, I was broken up with, I know how it feels. You have no control, you have no power, you have nothing. You feel lost, you feel like nothing. You've been knocked down to the ground. And you want to fix things and they're refusing everything. And you just hope for them so badly to say, yeah, okay, we'll give this another shot. And you just know how amazing that would make you feel if they said that to you. But they never do. And it's such a horrible thing, because for you, you want the relationship so badly and they want you to leave them alone so badly. And obviously it takes a lot to listen to what they want. It takes a lot for you to leave them alone and give them no contact and just distance yourself from them. And it's such a it's such a stab, for them to get angry at you when all you've tried to do is respect them. Just to finish this point, if you're here, trying to be on good terms with them, they have noticed this change. They've noticed this change of you initially wanting to get back with them to now you just wanting to be on good terms with them. And that will make them feel like you're genuinely moving on from them. And this removes this element of control that they had before, which they loved so much. And they react to that with anger. If you reached out to them, for example, and you confronted them about why are they being horrible to you? If you confronted them and said, listen, I just want to be on good terms. I thought we were on good terms. Why are you trying to, lay digs at me? If they react to that very negatively, which they most likely will, it pretty much means that they are refusing to be on good terms, which is confusing because obviously, what's the opposite? Well, you're either on good terms and you move on from each other, or you're on bad terms and then you're angry at each other and then you're not moving on from each other. So if they don't want good terms, they don't want to move on from you. That's pretty much what it means. And that can be a good thing if you want to get back with them. But then again, if they're being horrible to you when you're in your most vulnerable position, when you've been broken up with, you're on the absolute ground. If they're there laying digs at you while you're on the ground, that says a lot about who they are as a person. I remember with me, I'll talk a little bit about my situation because I think it's beneficial to talk about and I think I can talk about it. I had left my ex alone for well over a month and a half. And her sister replied to one of my tweets from a month ago. So the tweet was quite old. And her reply was an argument. It was her trying to argue with me. And I looked at her reply and I was like, why would I reply to this? I don't care. I don't want to talk to you. Me and your sister are not together anymore. I don't give a shit. That's what I thought to myself. And then I noticed my ex, she liked the tweet. And I was like, why is she liking that tweet? What? Does she want to talk to me? I don't get why you would encourage your sister communicating with your ex. That just doesn't make any sense. And then I went on to my ex's Twitter account and she retweeted a tweet by Alyssa Violet that said, I can't believe I've ever cried over someone I'm hotter than. And at that point I was livid. I'm thinking to myself, you've literally broken up with me. I tried to fix things with you. I left you alone. It was so hard for me to leave you alone because I really wanted you back, and I started moving on and I started feeling better. And right now you have retweeted a tweet that is really just trying to get out my biggest insecurities, because the two biggest insecurities you have after a breakup is, number one, you feel like you're worse than your ex. You feel like, you're uglier than them. You feel like you're never going to find someone as good as them, and you feel terrible about it. And then the second insecurity you have is this idea that they're completely over you while you're there still missing them and still not over the relationship. And both of those insecurities, that retweet very much jabbed into. And that made me angry. So I sent her a message, I confronted her, and she reacted terribly to it. She started going on about how I lied to her and manipulated to her because I said that I would change. And then the way that she judged that I haven't changed is by how I've replied to some people on Twitter. That's the evidence that she has that shows I haven't changed as a person. And what's funny is everything she brought up, she had taken out of context. I'm not going to bother trying to explain it because I don't think it's that relevant. Just to bring it back into the point, if you're there, if you confront your ex after no contact, after they have been horrible to you and you're just there trying to bargain with them and you're trying to say, listen, I thought we're on good terms. Why can't you just leave me alone? I just want you to move on. I want you to find someone else. If they react to that negatively and go on to keep being horrible to you, it just shows that they don't feel like you're struggling enough with the breakup. A lot of the reason why they're being horrible to you is because they feel like you have got away from the breakup scot-free, which should be kind of a compliment. What they're looking at is they're looking for signs that you're missing them. They're looking for signs that you're struggling with the breakup because they're struggling with the breakup. They want to be, they want to feel this sense of control. Exes who break up with you, people who break up with you, they love this sense of control. And their biggest fear is the tables turning. They're so scared. And I broke up with someone before. The same person who broke up with me. It's one, but but that's the full-time score. The biggest fear is the fear that it will go from they break up with you, you know, the person they broke up with is chasing them, and then the roles reverse. So now the person who was broken up with has moved on, but the person who did the breakup regrets their decision. So what they may do is they try to make the breakup harder for you, to bring them back down to their level. Quite frankly, if you have an ex that's over you, the last thing they will want to do is get your attention. They just wouldn't want that. And they also wouldn't want to hurt you, because if they're over you, hurting you does nothing to them. It doesn't help them, it doesn't make them feel good, it doesn't make them feel bad, so they just wouldn't bother. So if you're here, you know, if you confront them and you just say, listen, I thought we were on good terms, I don't get why you're trying to hurt me, and then they try to argue with you, and they're not accepting of that, it just proves that they're trying to bring you down to their level, and they will regret that. Because what will eventually happen is they will start dealing with the breakup properly. Because there are many ways you can deal with a breakup anyway. And the number one most common way that people deal with a breakup is through aggression. If you deal with a breakup through aggression, it's not constructive, because all you do is you build this, you know, this image of your ex who isn't even really your ex. So the second that you have memories of them, you'll move on from this image of your ex that you've built, but you won't move on from your ex, because your ex is not them. It's not the image that you've built up of them, it's just them. So you don't move on from them, you move on from an image of them which doesn't exist, which is completely pointless. But the second they start remembering you, the second they start actually dealing with their emotions properly, they will start feeling bad for you. They will start feeling like crap because they've tried to hurt you and they've probably succeeded. If my ex was just decent to me after this breakup, I would be doing way better than I would be now. I'd be even better off, maybe even fully better. You grow numb to it. You get used to it and you build a lot of mental strength. You know, just because someone breaks up with you, it doesn't make them a better person than you. It definitely doesn't. And the way that you deal with a breakup, I think, shows who you are as a person. Because once you've gone through a breakup, you've already lost everything. If you go down this approach of being a free radical, you know, doing everything you can to hurt them, you've obviously already lost them. You're doing it for no reason. You're doing it because you've got nothing to lose. But if you still have respect for them, if you're still showing respect for them, if you're still wishing the best for them, if you're still treating them with dignity, like I think I have, I think that shows you as a good person. And I think you will be rewarded for that in the future. Breakups are tough. They're very, very tough. And, you know, realistically, just to make the point clear, if someone is angry at you, if someone is trying to take digs at you, they're either not over you or a terrible person. And just to make clear, you know, just because you think they're a good person, because you remember them in the relationship, it doesn't mean they're an actual good person. You know, narcissists, one of their biggest strengths is being able to hide their narcissism. I really hope this video came across well. You know, it's obviously a topic that I find very fascinating. And, you know, there's lots of topics I want to talk about in this series, and I will hopefully be making another episode like this on a different topic in the future. Thank you for watching, everybody. Smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel if you're new today. Take care, everyone. I'll see you guys later.